Today on the show, How Did This Get Made's Diane Raphael. From Colbert, Daniel Kibblesmith, plus Suzi Barrett. It's the Novelizers.
Don't want your popcorn, don't want your milk duds, don't want my shoes stuck in pools of sticky cola. Don't show me romance, don't show me fist fights, just show me words printed out under the book lights. Yeah, baby, novelize the movie. Give me sentences, paragraphs, and nothing to see. Yeah, novelize the movie. Write a book and turn it into a podcast.
Welcome to the Novelizers. I'm Christine Bullen here with Kevin Carter and Stephen Levinson. Kevin, what is the Novelizers?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Christine. The Novelizers is a podcast where TV comedy writers turn classic films into hilarious audiobooks, which are then narrated by your favorite actors and comedians.
Bingo. And what movie are we novelizing this season? And where are we in this film?
We are novelizing The Matrix. And so far in this film, everyone is kind of on board with that Neo could be the one, except for Morpheus, because he knew the whole time. As the team tries to find an exit through the subway station, everyone makes it out, except Neo. Agent Smith shoots the phone and Neo should run at this point, but he says, "Fuck that, I got it." We then see an epic battle between Neo and Agent Smith.
That's right. And we have a fantastic show for you today. We have a chapter novelized by 5-time Emmy nominee Daniel Kibblesmith, who has written for Netflix animation, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, as well as Marvel and DC Comics. He is also the author of the children's book Princess Dinosaur and the all-ages humor book Santa's Husband. It was narrated by Diane Raphael, host of the amazing podcast How Did This Get Made, and who you loved in dozens of hilarious TV shows and films. But first, Stephen, here you've got some good news for us. Still.
That's right. The good news is that you can help be a part of the Novelizers. How? By pitching in just $5 a month on our Patreon. Every cent goes into production and keeps the show on the air, or whatever element it is that podcasts are on. Go to thenovelizers.com to get a link to our Patreon, or follow us in the incredible world of social media.
Do it. And now, Diane Raphael, novelize us.
Chapter 19, The Station Agent, novelized by Daniel Kibblesmith, narrated by Diane Raphael. "Do you believe it now, Trinity?" asked Morpheus, appearing from seemingly nowhere, but not in a Matrixy way where he popped out of a mirror or a keyhole or something. He was merely standing off to the side. It was a fair question, but a total mood killer. On brand for the crusading Morpheus, who cared as much about being right as he did about saving mankind. Way to pick your moment, Morpheus. Trinity and Neo had finally gotten a chance to gaze into each other's eyes and briefly contemplate what sex between them might look and sound like. Two off-white department store mannequins wrapped in black vinyl, grinding and squeaking against each other after hours like some BDSM reimagining of corduroy. But Morpheus had a point. Trinity was starting to believe. "Morpheus," said Neo, "the Oracle, she told me I'm..." Morpheus interrupted again. "She told you exactly what you needed to hear, that's all." Neo, sooner or later, going to realize, just as I did, that there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. This was gibberish, of course, but Neo was beginning to understand that his new friends and their ill-defined philosophy was mostly about vibes. Tank interrupted on his K-Nex brand telemarketer headset. "Operator," said Tank. No one could remember why they were doing that. "Tank," replied Morpheus. "God damn," said Tank, but in a happy way. "It's good to hear your voice, sir." But there was no time for pleasantries. "We need an exit," said Morpheus. "Got one ready," said Tank. "Subway station stayed in Balbo." That was how the Matrix worked. The magic doors needed to be in phones and stuff. You couldn't just drop one wherever would be most convenient. Just then, Agent Smith burst onto the rooftop in lukewarm pursuit. He moseyed with great purpose toward a discarded pile of Matrix gear, black harnesses and the like. But the heroic trio had already skedaddled to State and Balbo to make their escape, and if there was time, stopped by Olu Malnati's. 2 other agents followed Smith, all interchangeable in their tone and manner. Or were they? "Damn it," said Smith. More and more, he seemed to be taking this personally. Of course, that was impossible, and if there was something unusual happening in Smith's programming, his counterparts were equally programmed not to notice. The trace was completed. said Agent Brown. "We have their position," added Jones. "The Sentinels are standing by," confirmed Brown. "Order the strike," said Jones. "They're not out yet," said Smith, lingering on the rooftop. As networked computer programs, it was unclear why they were wasting time saying all of this out loud, or for that matter, running up staircases in human bodies. But as it happens, they were right. The PVC-clad gang made their way down dingy subway stairs in search of the promised exit, a ringing payphone. A cartoonish wino gazed on disinterestedly, perhaps dreaming of a big turkey leg, but he didn't know the real show was about to begin. "You first, Morpheus," said Neo gratefully. Morpheus placed the receiver to his own ear, instantly beaming away in a silhouette of light and Star Trek noises. The wino gasped, concealed from their sight by darkness and poverty. What was this magic? Whatever it was, it alerted Agent Smith from the rooftop, who tuned in to the wino's wonder like a dog whistle. Everyone in this simulated world was a potential security camera, even the very poor. Neo hung up the dangling receiver. He had to. That was part of it. "Neo, I want to tell you something," said Trinity, "but I'm afraid of what it could mean if I do." The phone began ringing once more, but time was of the essence. Who knew when Morpheus would interrupt again with the self-righteous "I told you so" blather? "Everything the Oracle told me has come true," said Trinity. "Everything but this." The train was pulling into the underground station. A lot was going on. Noise and talking wise. Neo looked at Trinity like a sparrow trying to open a bag of pretzels. And still, the phone rang. Unnoticed, the wino morphed into Agent Smith, minutely improving the tunnel smell. It's okay to say this stuff because it's just part of a computer program. Agent Smith rose from the greasy hobo's prone position like Dracula waking up from a dumpster. Smith drew his gun and pointed. Trinity picked up the receiver and bang! Milliseconds before the bullet could hit her, Trinity vanished, disappearing safely from the Matrix but leaving behind the phone receiver to shatter in the bullet's path. Neo was left behind to fight alone. "Neo?" said Trinity, waking up in her dentist's chair in the Nebuchadnezzar. "What just happened?" asked Tank. "An agent," said Trinity. "You have to send me back." "I can't," said Tank. As mentioned earlier, this was, for some reason, true. Down in the damp, dark tunnels of Computer Town, Agent Smith approached Neo. "Mr. Anderson, we meet again." "Run, Neo, run," said Trinity, watching on a screen or something. But Neo did not run. "What is he doing?" Trinity asked Morpheus. Morpheus almost smiled. He's beginning to believe. I swear to God, this guy. Neo and the agent stared each other down from opposite ends of the subway platform, like two gunslingers in a Western, which is also the name of a street in Chicago. Loose pages of newspapers blew silently between them. They drew. Bang, 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 bang. Missing, dodging, the arch nemeses lunged toward each other through the air and almost seemed to freeze there, hovering, rotating, bullets whizzing past each other, rippling the very air like baby ducks in a pond. Baby ducks of death. The men fired until the bullets were no more, twirling to land, with their hot, silent guns inches from each other's faces. "You're empty," said Agent Smith. "So are you," said Neo. These were metaphors, but interestingly not the same metaphor. They twirled again, this time away from each other. Both doll-like men discarded their guns and took their stance. This was always going to come down to Kung Fu. And Neo knew Kung Fu. Punch, and kick. They fought as only man and computer program can, shattering concrete with the force of their blows, reality itself buckling under their determination. Neo landed a blow on Smith's face, busting one lens of his sunglasses and then backing away, frightened of Smith and of his own power. Smith discarded the glasses, meaningless from the beginning. "I'm going to enjoy watching you die, Mr. Anderson." The fight resumed. Blow and parry, kick, punch, jab, jab, jab. Agent Smith planted his virtual fist in Neo's solar plexus, sending him flying backward and spiking his vitals in the reality above where Trinity was still watching. Jesus, he's killing him. Neo cyber puked. In the waking world, the real Trinity wiped Neo's wet, actual mouth. Smith gritted his teeth, looming over Neo, ready to deliver the killing blow. He'd make the agent of the month for this. But Neo struggled to his feet and resolutely wiped the digital blood from his pixel chin. Suddenly, Smith didn't look so certain. Neo struck another kung fu stance, extended his hand, and like a porcelain cat in the red neon light of a restaurant window, Neo beckoned twice as if to say, "Bring it on." Smith did. The fight resumed, graceful and brutal, elegant and barbaric. Smith lifted Neo by the thighs and smashed him inches deep into the concrete wall, punching him relentlessly with a flurrying cloud of fists, like a comic strip drawing of Popeye. IRL Neo shook in his chair. Another blow sent Neo flying through an abandoned newsstand, and Smith walked over and dragged him to the edge of the platform, chucking him onto the subway tracks. A piercing, rattling commuter train echoed down the tunnel mere moments away. Smith placed Neo in a headlock and pointed him headlong toward the growing twin lights of the oncoming train. Do you hear that, Mr. Anderson? That is the sound of inevitability. That is the sound of your death. Goodbye, Mr. Anderson. The train was nearly there. My name, said Neo, is Neo, said Neo. Had there been an audience of 17-year-olds watching, they would have lost their collective minds and unintentionally bankrolled at least 2 sequels of baffling content and intention. Neo pushed off vertically, leaping into the ceiling and smashing Smith into the stone above them with a crunch. The pair landed, Neo with grace and purpose, Smith at the mercy of fate and gravity. Neo leapt again, this time flipping off the tracks to safety as the train came upon them. Smith grasped desperately for Neo, for any escape, but it was too late. Smash! The train ran over Smith indifferently. Just 2 machines following their programming until their paths collided.
Thanks, June. Each week on the show, we interview someone who worked on the actual film The Matrix. It could be Keanu Reeves, or Carrie-Anne Moss, or maybe even a third assistant to the associate producer's driver. You just never know. Let's roll that interview. All right, I'm Christine Bullen here with another interview portion of the Novelizers. And today I'm talking to Suzi Barrett, who was the reality coach for the film The Matrix. Hi, Suzi. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Christine.
Oh, it's so great to talk to you. I have absolutely no idea what this job is, so I'm really curious to hear all about it.
Yeah, don't feel bad. You're not alone. This is a job that was invented for this film. Early on in the process, the producers were noticing that actors were having a bit of a tough time sort of readjusting conceptually to their regular lives after being thrust into this sort of heightened reality and all of the shifts in perception that happen in the movie. And so I was able to come on and work with a team of psychologists and come up with ways to readjust them to this reality that we live in, you know, where they have wives and families and husbands and hobbies and sort of reintegrate them and show them how to do that.
Wow, that's fascinating. So you say this job was basically invented for this film. So what did they notice, and how quickly were they realizing, like, oh shit, like these people don't know who they are after they shoot?
Yeah, there were some wild stories coming off of the set, you know, Keanu pacing around, urgently saying that he needed to get somewhere, and they said, like, yes, you know, your friend is picking you up. He said you guys are going to dinner tonight, and no, you don't understand. I have responsibilities. I'm Neo. Oh dear, you know, that was like a red flag, right? He couldn't break out of it. And he's not known as a method actor, you know?
That's what I was going to ask. Was this like a method thing? And they must have realized, no, this is just like a not accepting the reality of the world thing.
Exactly. He had accepted the reality of the film so hard, even without trying, because it was so convincing that it was hard for him to break out of that. And what I have done in my work with them is just reiterate over and over and over. There is no such thing as the Matrix. What there is is this reality that we are all plugged into, so to speak, where we have jobs, lives, cars, where there are houses and rows on streets and things happen the way we expect. All of that stuff that you just did, that's not real. This is real. You've got to plug back into this.
Well, and what's so fascinating about this is that's kind of what the movie is, right? Is people convincing him that there is no Matrix. So
I haven't seen the movie. Is that what it's about?
Oh, you never saw the movie?
No, I don't. I tend to try to not watch a lot of movies because I like the reality that we're in.
Oh, so you don't like movies?
I don't like thinking that something else could be possible, if that makes sense.
That makes a ton of sense. It feels like you don't really like fantasy, or you don't really like enjoying a different sort of experience other than just the day-to-day, what you do with your life sort of thing.
Exactly. And in fact, and I'll tell you what, and it extends to kind of all areas of my life, maybe because I've made it my life's work. But, even if I may be candid, even in the bedroom, role play situations, if I have a partner who wants to role play, I'll say, okay, let's role play that it's 5 minutes from now and we're done with the role play. You know what I mean? But we're
totally.
us.
We just did the thing and now it's over, and that's kind of fun. Well, if you were role playing that, then would you continue to go through with the sex you were planning to have, or would you just say, "Oh, we already finished because we're role playing that's 5 minutes from now, and that's how long sex takes"?
I have skipped the sex. Yeah, I have done that.
And how does your partner feel about that?
I don't have a partner currently, but in times past, it has been tough. What I've found is that a lot of people have a hard time sort of getting on board. I think it is because people are so wrapped up in what's happening on this show, or what, they have such a rich imagination. It is really hard for them to just imagine okay, yeah, what if we skipped ahead and the sex is done, and then imagine that we're just sitting here again? What if we're just sitting here in this room? They have a hard time making that leap. I don't, because I haven't polluted my mind,
Totally. And I understand they might have a hard time making that leap. They also might just want to have sex,
Which is I think that is such a product of what has happened, where we've gone astray as humans, right? We shouldn't need that, right? We're here. We have everything we need. Our lives take care of us. We have food, we have water, we have conveniences. Why should we crave for anything else,
Wow. I mean, it's pretty empowering to hear you talk like that, because I think so many people get swept up in the fantasy of what they want out of their lives. And it seems like you don't really want anything.
I make sure that I don't want anything. And if I ever catch myself wanting something, I have a rubber band on my wrist that I snap, that's sort of, and it's funny that we use the term snap back to reality. I do snap myself back to reality. I caught myself one time wondering what it would be like to buy a book and read it. And I had to just right away, because I went there. I was imagining, I'm reading a book. You know what I mean? I really went there.
Wow. It feels like it's sort of hard to live the life you're living, but to you, it seems to be working for you. And I'm really empowered by kind of the way that you live without any wants whatsoever.
I would say that this is the life that I would want, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I actually don't. I would be lying if I said that, because I honestly don't know what it's like to want. So if you think that's a good thing, then that's great. I am happy. I am happy. And I'll tell you what, when I saw how that film affected those actors, I thought, whew, I am thanking my lucky stars that is not my career or my day-to-day life.
It's interesting because, even as a viewer, you can get really swept up in these really expansive universes like The Matrix. For instance, I have a 2 and 3-year-old at home, and we watch a lot of Daniel Tiger. And, if I ever watch 2 episodes in a row, sometimes it's hard for me to remember that I'm not a tiger.
See, there it is.
They don't wear pants. They don't wear pants in that. They wear shirts, but they don't wear pants. I guess they don't have to because they're tigers. But, we watched a couple episodes one day when the kids were getting ready for school, and I sort of forgot that. And then it was a real issue at drop off, because I wasn't wearing pants.
Yes. See, and that's the kind of gateway that, like you just said, your children are very young. They're under 5 years old. They're already being conditioned to these other alternate universes. This place where tigers, I'm guessing, do the tigers speak?
Yeah.
Yes. See, and I think what you are experiencing right now is normal, but a lot of parents they don't have the wherewithal to acknowledge that they're moving into that tunnel. If you let this progress, not to scare you, but I would give it, 2-3 years tops. Like, you could be in real trouble in your life. I saw someone one time in my practice who believed that Thomas the Tank Engine was real.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've worked with people who I'm trying to think of it was down in Texas, and they thought that twisters might come through and kill them and pick up a cow on their farm. And I thought, my God, because they saw this movie Twister, now they're they're sitting here and they're worried about this as if this is something that can happen.
Well, I mean, tornadoes do happen. Those are real things. So I do understand that fear a little bit, right?
I mean, but are they, or are we being told that?
Oh, no, they are. Yeah, no, they definitely are. Twister, like tornadoes are real. Yeah, those are real things. Like hurricanes and earthquakes and fires, like those are real things.
And where are you seeing this? You're seeing this on some type of media?
Well, I guess the news. Yeah. Or I guess movies.
Yeah. The news and movies, two types of media. But when you wake up in the morning and you open your curtains and look outside, do you see tornadoes and fires? I'm guessing not.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I've never seen a tornado.
Yes.
I did see a fire once. The roof of my neighbor's house went into flames one time, but not like a wildfire.
Right. Yeah. Fire.
Wow. So you're telling me that the reality I think I'm in right now, the reality where I think I'm plugged into what is real, might actually be formed from media. And I'm actually thinking things are real that are not real.
Yeah, bingo.
Whoa.
And I'm not saying this to scare you.
It is scaring me a little bit, though.
I'm so sorry. That's not my
okay. I would rather know the truth. Just like Neo, I want to know.
Yeah, there's a great freedom in it, because as soon as you stop looking at your screens and reading your newspapers or your novels or whatever you're putting into your brain, you open yourself up. Finally, you can be awake to what's actually happening instead of zombies and werewolves and tornadoes. It's really freeing.
This is pretty mind-boggling for me. So, okay, so question for you then. So you don't like movies, you don't like any sort of fantasy at all, novels, books, but you work in the movie industry. That's correct?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. So first of all, how did they find you? And then since The Matrix, have there been other films where you've worked as a reality coach?
Yes. I'll take this in two parts. They found me at a book burning, and they were really taken, I think, with my philosophies. And I'm very calm on this interview because this is my normal way. I feel very zen. I feel very grounded. But in those moments, I do have a lot of fervor. And I am pretty aggressive about my views. And when I found out that they were doing this film, I kind of went at them a little bit. At this point, I hadn't worked on other films. I hadn't. Okay. And I was, proselytizing to them a little bit about what they were doing and how they were poisoning minds. And they saw an opportunity. They connected me with the psychologist on set, and it's like bingo. I was able to offer them something that, because I saw the truth.
But then you were okay with working for the movie, even though you don't believe in movies, or you're, sort of opposed to the idea of the movie industry and as a whole.
Yeah, because I didn't ever accept any payment from them or any, I didn't get a credential. I had to kind of find my way onto set each day. I had to figure out where they were shooting. I refused to plug into their reality,
Interesting. So then you would find the actors as they were maybe leaving, and then how would you approach them and what would you do?
Well, sometimes I would, at first it was just normal conversations. At times, they were so wrapped up in their thing, their headspace. Sometimes it was an all-out chase. And my therapy sessions with them would literally be me shouting as they dove into their limousine. And some of the crew was so wrapped up in their reality that, there were times they put me in handcuffs. You know what I mean? That's how far gone they were.
I mean, it could also read as you actually didn't work for the film at all, and they didn't have any connection to you, and you were sort of just harassing the actors as they were leaving set. But you're pretty confident that's not what was happening?
No, I'm very confident, and I can hear in your voice, even the way that you said that, it tells me what reality you're in. You know what I mean? You are
Which
already...
one?
You're seeing Daniel Tiger and these gateway pieces of media as innocent because that's how they get you. It's made for children, right? It seems sweet, and then it switches you into this place where you're looking at me, who has I have degrees, I have abilities, I've worked on these major motion pictures, and you're saying that none of that is true, that I was harassing. And it's funny because that's the terminology that they used on set a lot about me.
Wow. I am so swept up in this because you're right. Like I was sort of making that assumption, and clearly, like, I am the one that is struggling here to figure out what's real,
Welcome to reality.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you don't accept payment. You didn't accept payment.
No, I wouldn't. I would refuse. If they had tried, I would have refused. But luckily, I think they must have read some of my pamphlets. They knew what my deal was, and so they didn't even try to offer. Thankfully, because it would have been a bit of an argument if they tried.
I would imagine. And so did you did you have any sort of lasting connection to any of the actors, or any relationships that have kind of existed beyond that time that you were working on the film?
I do, and that's one of the things that I cherish, because relationships and connection with nature and the things that are real and actual, those are the things that are most important in life. So Keanu and I, we meet up every now and then. I know where he lives in Malibu, and I'm able to go, I'll come say hi from the bottom of his driveway. And I've left packages for some of the other actors.
What kind of packages? Like, what do you like to bring them?
I bring them. I cut up pictures that remind me of them. Nothing from media, but just sort of like I'll make collages out of trash that I find that has pretty pictures in it. Sort of cut that up and arrange it in a nice things. Maybe I'll cut up some of the letters and spell a message for them. Really nice, like handcrafted stuff. The kind of stuff that you would buy for someone on Etsy, but I like to do it myself.
Wow. It's amazing though, because I believe you, and at the same time I do know this sounds very much like classic kind of stalker behavior, but I'm telling you, I believe you. Clearly I am the one that is not in the real reality right now.
Isn't that fascinating?
It is fascinating.
Peeling back the layers of the onion, and you go, oh, wait. oh, and you realize all of these people that you haven't believed in the past that you start to believe now. You go, wait, was Charles Manson bad? And you go like, oh no, he was cast as a role by the movie that is society.
Wow. So you don't make money doing this, but you continue to do this. Is there something you do to make money in the real world? The sort of normal sense of a job that earns you income?
Yeah, I've found several ways. There is a really nice business sort of near the airport. It's it's almost like a warehouse. But we are a call center. We do a public service where we let people know that the IRS made a mistake and that they owe money. And what we do is we help get ahead of any tax problems that they will have in years down the line. They avoid jail time by sending us their money right away. It just circumvents like all of that drama. And I'm so grateful to be doing something that is providing such a such a helping hand to people who need
it sounds exactly like a scam. Like, do you know of are there other scams, and can you differentiate what you're doing from people who are sort of classically scamming people?
I can tell you the biggest scam in the world right now is the school prison pipeline and the media machine that's feeding it, and politics in general, along with all authority figures and the story that we are told. Is the first scam that occurs to me. There's probably others, but I try not to pay attention. I don't dig into emails or things like that. But yeah, that one occurs to me.
So I guess, it's fascinating. I'm learning so much about your whole life, and it sounds like, you were integral in this film, but maybe if you were to look on the IMDb page, you wouldn't be on there, or maybe people wouldn't.
I am definitely not. Thankfully.
Wow.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to be.
I would never want to be. And I hope that by me living in this way, that I empower others, that I send a message that says, hey, you know what? We can accept that maybe we're never going to remove all movies and fantasy and everything. But what you can do is you can work with the industry, and you don't have to participate in the industry.
Got it.
You know what I
mean? Yeah. You can be a part of it without actually like engaging in it or contributing to what makes it bad.
Right. And in doing that, I become a guiding light for all these little girls who didn't know this was a possibility to do. They love films. They don't realize they can do what I do and help sort of melt away the negative aspect of filmmaking without ever being involved in it.
This is so cool. I cannot wait to share this interview with my 2 and 3-year-old and try to get them to understand exactly, what you're hoping for them and for all children their age. So one last question. What do you do for fun?
I have the best time walking around, and I love when do you know that time of evening where the sky turns a little bit orange,
Mm-hmm.
and you can sort of see like the sun is like a little bit lower in the sky,
like dusk.
Yes,
Dusk. Okay, yeah.
Right about that time.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful outside, and everyone's windows, their curtains are all open. And they're going about their lives. They haven't closed their curtains yet, but you can see it's dark enough that their lights are on and you can see inside, but they don't know, they can't see you. And you get to just go like yard to yard and just see what people are up to. What a magical time of day.
That's so cool. So you just you kind of look look into people's windows.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
And isn't that the movie screen we want to be looking at? Rather, why do we have to invent fiction when life is right here and it's so beautiful? And there is nothing more beautiful than a man and woman at the end of the day, or a woman and woman, or a man and man. I'm not judgmental.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, coming together, removing their clothes, having an intimate moment, laying down in their bed together. You'd see how each couple treats that moment differently, and the way that they kiss and the way that they hold each other. It's just so remarkable. I've never seen.
You watch it from a window, like looking
Yes.
into someone's bedroom.
Right, from where I'm allowed to be. I would never cross a line and enter the house. I would never.
Got it. Yeah, it's fascinating because, again, another example where, like, the me 10 minutes ago would think like, oh, this woman's crazy, and she's actually like a stalker, and like she's probably pretty dangerous. But like now, having talked to you and like you telling me your experience, I'm like, wow, she's the one who's plugged in, and she's actually doing something that's like really valuable for herself and the world by just engaging with the reality that is in front of her and sort of experiencing that through watching real people do real things. But I would it's so funny because I would have thought that was like really, really kind of dangerous stalker behavior.
Isn't that so funny?
It is.
So funny.
It is.
Fascinating.
Listen, this has been truly mind-bending. And it's funny because I'm recording this from my daughter's bedroom, and she has a whole bookshelf of books in front of me, Hop on Pop and Wide Mouth Frog and A Light in the Attic. And as soon as we end this interview, I am going to take these books outside, and I'm going to pour a bunch of gasoline on them, and I'm going to light a match, and I'm going to watch them burn.
And that is the only type of fire that should exist in the world.
Wow. Thank you so much, Suzi, for taking the time. I truly hope that we get to talk again about another film that you work on, because I feel like your work in the industry is invaluable.
Say no more. I'll find out your address and I'll drop by.
Can't wait. Thanks so much, Suzi.
Okay, thank you.
Amazing. And thanks to this week's contributors, Diane Raphael, Daniel Kibblesmith, and Suzi Barrett. Join us next week for another truly spectacular episode with Allison Silverman, Jackie Cation, and Jeremy Kalane. Till then, Stephen, unplug us from the Matrix.
Sure thing. The Novelizers is produced by me, Stephen Levinson, with Graham Douglas, Kevin Carter, Christine Bowen, Dennis DeClaudio, Rob Kuttner, and Sucheta Spokil. Music by Cole Emhoff. Graphic design by Crystal Dennis. Theme song by Andrew Lynn, performed by Knots. Special thanks to Chris Karwowski and WYSO Radio in Yellow Springs, Ohio. The Novelizers is a work of parody unauthorized by Warner Brothers. Follow The Novelizers on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and TikTok, and please donate to our Patreon. Copyright 2024, Novelizers, LLC. Take us out, Amy Mann.
There was a matrix made of computers. There was a guy who could dodge all of the bullets. He lived in fluid, just like a fetus. But he was born again like baby Jesus. Novelize that movie, write a book, and also read